There goes the Albertville City Police. They've just about killed my mother in a land theft scheme. With Cadence Bank and Liberty Bank. And because of this, what we refer to as the $1 billion retail outlet development deal. When they found out secretly for 5 years that it would be constructed in front of our 2-acre corner lot, they began terrorizing, slandering, sabotaging, robbing, raping, and murdering my family. It's an absolute abhorrent crime by Alabama State and Albertville City officials. And it is about to be proven in court. So I'll say that again. When the city of Albertville found out secretly that a multi-million-dollar real estate development project would be constructed in front of our 2-acre corner lot, they began to murder my family for our land millions. And you cannot leave out, you just can't leave out the fact that in 2018, this began. It began with the city attorney slandering our warranty deed to a bank vice president named Chris Bailey of Liberty Bank, my mother's personal banker, until he ran my mother out of the bank. The president of Liberty Bank attacking an 86-year-of-age wealthy widow because he was determined to aid and abet mob boss Mayor Tracy Honey in a multi-million-dollar land theft scheme. He returned to the scene of the crime in 2025, attempting to steal my mother's family farm. That's Chris Bailey, a slithering rattlesnake in Northeast Alabama. The president of a $150 million net worth hometown bank. And in the banking industry, $150 million is a very small bank. Cadence Bank, who is also in this land theft conspiracy, is a $50 billion regional bank with approximately 400 bank locations all over the United States. But for example, Truist Bank, don't you like that name? Truist, it's a legitimate bank. Its net worth is $150 billion. That doesn't compare to Bank of America. You can Google that. It's closer to $1 trillion for Bank of America. So anyway, you've got these banks in Northeast Alabama conspiring with high-level political officials. I dare not call them political leaders. They are cold political mobsters. Angels by day, absolute demons by night, plotting people's rape and murder for money, cash, cars, land, power, control, resources. They want to create a legacy, like 1930s mob boss Al Capone, or 1980s mob boss John Gotti. Al Capone is known as America's most infamous mobster in the Chicago area of the United States. John Gotti, New York City, also known as one of America's most infamous mobsters. These people revel in this crime that they commit against innocent taxpayers. Folks, this is far beyond taxation without representation. That's why the United States declared their independence from the criminally insane King Charles III. Taxation without representation is tyranny. This is far beyond that. This is the government taxing the American public and then plotting their murder when their mortgage is almost paid off and conspiring with the bank executives to do it. The bankers promise the corrupt political officials free land, millions, if the officials can sabotage the innocent taxpayers into false imprisonment and or unlawful death. They murdered Brother Chappell. They knew they were endangering a World War II war-disabled Navy veteran's life. He pleaded for his life to them. He did not realize how extensive this was. He didn't realize that Judge Riley and Judge Floyd were in on the theft scheme against him and my mother. Her name is Eugenia, an 86-year-of-age Alabama cotton farmer's daughter and retired Alabama high school guidance counselor. Folks, you've got to have a master's degree from an accredited university to be a high school guidance counselor. We have done nothing but help people. We are the Leonard Skinner family of Northeast Alabama. I am the Leonard Skinner brother, and my mother, Eugenia, is the Leonard Skinner mother. My elder brother, Damon Rogers Johnson, is the lead guitarist for the greatest Southern rock band of all time, Leonard Skinner. Known for iconic Southern rock songs as Sweet Home Alabama, Free Bird, Simple Man, Things Going On, That Smell. Read the lyrics to Sweet Home Alabama. It's a political activist song. The lyrics say, in Birmingham, they love the governor. Boo, boo, boo. But we did what we could do. They're referring to then former Governor George C. Wallace, in essence, executing mob violence against the African American community by way of Alabama State Troopers on Bloody Sunday. That's March 7th, 1965, because, and I say this sarcastically, the African American community had the unmitigated gall to want to vote. And that's the way they looked at it. That's the way Alabama looked at it. How dare they want to vote? Look at that. It's white supremacy. They believe that God gives them the right to dominate all of God's creation. And who's they? The white male white supremacist, and anyone not of their clan, Klan. This is the modern day KKK as well. They changed their attire. They no longer dress in white bedsheet robes with a pointy white hat, emulating the Catholic Pope, and with a red cross over their heart. They no longer dress like that. They dress like golfers and doctors and lawyers. They traded their white Ku Klux Klan white robe for black judicial robes. That's what they've done. They have infiltrated the American judicial system. These domestic terrorists, put them everyone in prison. A very dangerous criminal organization, absolute domestic terrorists. This is domestic terror, and it is by the Marshall County judicial system and the Albertville City Hall. You have got primarily these unindicted co-conspirators involved. Real simple. We'll go with 9. And then I'll add 2 bonus unindicted co-conspirators to make it a total of 11. Number 1 of 11 is Circuit Court Judge Timothy Francis Riley. Brother Chappell deemed him the evil godhead of the Marshall County Courthouse. And he deemed the Marshall County Courthouse as the headquarters for the Ku Klux Klan. Brother Chappell was born in 1926, December 10th, 1926, in New Haven, Connecticut. And he witnessed the Ku Klux Klan by the hundreds of thousands of members marching in the streets. They had over 5 million members during his childhood, which was in the 20s and the 30s, and on into the 40s. He recognized the danger that the justice for Miss Eugenia details and thereby exposes. These people are enemies of our nation, and no one should suffer in the hands of our nation as we have suffered. Number 2 of 11 is District Judge Mitch Floyd. He threatened Brother Chappell with jail if Brother Chappell filed one more document in his court, and then ordered Brother Chappell to pay the criminal sex offender John Allen Smith $4,000 for essaying me on April the 15th, 2019, just months after all of this began in November of 2018, when Sheriff Sims began bragging to people that he would harm Eugenia and associates and steal Eugenia's property. My mother said when I told her that people were telling me that, my mother said, well, I've got news for Phil Sims. He cannot hurt us, and he certainly cannot steal our property. We had no idea these people are a group of professional, psychopathic killer thieves. We had no idea we were dealing with absolute dangerous killers. The third is Satanic Sheriff Phil Sims. The fourth is Mob Boss Mayor Tracy Honey, Albertville City. The fifth is Lying Lawyer Jimmy Carnes, the Albertville City Attorney. The sixth is Chief Police Thief, Chief Thief Carty, J.T. Carty. He has been named numerous times in numerous complaints and federal lawsuits against our country. This man is a psychopathic killer thief. He is detailed on a recent video that is uploaded to this YouTube channel. He's a very dangerous person, and we ask that you contact the FBI at 1-800-225-5324 or go to their website at tips.fbi.gov and report any information you have regarding this deadly multi-million-dollar land theft scheme. Number 7 is Liberty Bank President Chris Bailey. Their headquarters for the bank, they're headquartered in Geraldine, Alabama, DeKalb County. They have a branch office, a bank branch office in Albertville and Gunnersville. He lied in writing to the FDIC, as did lying lawyer Jimmy Carnes lie to the Alabama State Bar. These people have provided false and misleading information to numerous government agencies regarding this multi-million-dollar deadly land theft tragedy. Then there's former, because she's lost her job over this, former Cadence Bank Vice President of Gunnersville, Margaret Lacey. She had control over the mortgage of the theft-targeted property and promised to give our property to my boss, Mayor Tracy Honey, if the officials could sabotage us into bank foreclosure. This is after we had, in essence, paid 25 years on a 30-year mortgage, and we were almost debt-free. And the very people that we have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to in property taxes, bank loan interest, and while the bank was fully insured by us, so they would have no risk whatsoever in their financial investment. And when we were almost debt-free, it is the bankers and the very government officials that have received hundreds of thousands, if not millions, it depends on how far you go back, because we once employed 36 full-time employees, and we owned and operated, and my mother was technically the 100% owner of Federal Credit Incorporated, also known as Federal Credit Finance Corporation, and we owned we had 23 offices in 5 different Alabama counties, and we employed 36 full-time employees. Folks, that's over $300,000 a month in payroll. And the payroll taxes and the income taxes and the sales taxes and the property taxes, it adds up to millions of dollars. And when the officials found out that we were worth $6 million, they extorted us in a jury-tampered verdict. And it took the Supreme Court to stop the Alabama judicial system from robbing us with firearms. The Marshall County Sheriff's Department was threatening to confiscate our property with that illegal jury-tampered verdict. And it took the Supreme Court of Alabama to stop them. That was in 2011. We didn't even get our $200,000, approximately $200,000 in legal defense fees reimbursed, because they claimed qualified immunity. They then came back 7 years later to kill us for our land after the Supreme Court stopped them in a $5 million cash extortion scheme with a tampered jury. Notice they hijacked the jury to steal $5 million cash, and then they returned 7 years later to hijack the bank mortgage to steal our multi-million-dollar property. And who's they? That's the judges and the bankers, and then other unindicted co-conspirators like chiropractic Dr. John Allen Smith that essayed me to aid and abet this land theft scheme. And he did that on April 15th, 2019. And as the officials then began to attack me after the fact, and even after he lied 5 times in my medical record after the fact, I then developed PTSD, because I knew that the police and our authorities had ordered and or condoned the sex crime against me and my family. We now realize why. It's to steal our land after the Supreme Court stopped them stealing $5 million cash in the extortion scheme, attempting to steal $5 million cash. So folks, one more time, we ask you to contact the FBI at 1-800-225-5324. And the 2 bonus unindicted co-conspirators is current Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, who has allowed all this to happen. We went to her office 3 different times. Brother Chappell and I went to her staff twice, her staff members, and met with them, and they assured us that they would get us some help. Folks, Do you realize they knew what was coming across the road from our property? This is a United States highway. Permits had to be filed for the traffic lights and turn lanes and everything that's going in across the highway. The governor was well aware of why we were being terrorized. Brother Chappell said, they're going to kill us if we don't get some help. And we were assured that we would get some help. We got no help. They gaslighted us. They made mockery of us. They were in on it, folks, by tacit approval. You can call that depraved indifference. You can call that dereliction of duty. You can call that diabolical, murderous thieves. Any way you want to word it, it's just the truth. And it's the God's truth, the pure truth. Our satanic banker agreed to pay for our murder with this land, hoping to create foreclosure for the city of Albertville. The deadly, corrupt Marshall County officials' mafia cult. You got to understand why we're calling them a cult. They don't miss a Sunday prayer service, folks. These people are real dangerous, and they are self-righteous hypocrites, yet they rape, rob, and murder people with this radical ideology. It's a murderous ideology, white male, white supremacy, where they believe that God is a white man and they are thereby made most closely in God's image, and then he orders them to have dominion over all of God's creation. That's women, people of color, in essence, anyone not of their clan, and they're actually just a group of professional psychopathic killer thieves. And they're indoctrinated from birth with this radical murderous ideology. Brother Chappell said it's radical Islamic terrorism with a Christian twist. Some people refer to them as radical Baptists. I would say over 70% of my family are good faith Baptists, but these are of a different clan, so to speak, of Baptists. They're radical Baptists, and they actually rape, rob, and murder people in the name of the law and the name of the Lord. So it's what our federal prison system is designed to protect the public by. That's how the federal government protects the good people of the United States, is through the U.S. Department of Justice that was created by Ulysses S. Grant after the Civil War that ended in 1865. Here's another banner. The one on the roof says, "Crazy is Marshall County blood judges and corrupt bankers violently robbing elders of land millions." YouTube Spiritual Grandpa Live 100, and this property is a federal crime scene. YouTube Spiritual Grandpa Live 100. Here's another one. Brother Chappell's great-grandfather was Kaiser Wilhelm II, Germany's last emperor, Prussia's last king. Get your hands off my God-blessed land, police state Alabama. This is not Nazi Germany. I have done my share of defending the Constitution. U.S. Judge Axon believes me. See Federal Civil Rights Case 4:21-CV-519-ACA. We, the people, are hostage to a militant state engaging in violent and imperial conquest. And there's the federal government right there. Like, share, and subscribe. Contact your honorable federal and state representatives today. Report this crime and report any information that you have regarding this crime to the FBI. Again, that is 1-800-225-5324. Another banner that was displayed on September the 11th, 2022, right after they killed Brother Chappell. And this banner will read, "Pray for USA." And notice, this is a modern day lynching, folks. This is how they lynch people, these white supremacists. It's the modern day Ku Klux Klan. I ask you to Google Ku Klux Klan and put the 4 letters which is the abbreviation of Wikipedia, a free online encyclopedia, WIKI, the KKK, or the Ku Klux, CLUX Klan, KLAN. You realize they also use something known as comedic violence. You know, they're bullies. They try to make mockery of what they're doing and their theft target. They try to make a game out of it. They try to make a joke out of it. Well, you know, one phrase for that is a clown with a chainsaw. Imagine that someone dressed up as a circus clown enters your home with a chainsaw at full throttle, and he is destroying your home, cutting through your furniture and wreaking havoc, absolute terror to your home and your family, yet he's laughing hysterically. That's comedic violence. They think it's funny. This is how they slander, rape, and rob people in Northeast Alabama today. And today is Thursday, the 19th of March, 2026. Here's the banner. State of deception. We can prove officials are again revengefully attacking us with child rape slander to steal our land, and said abuse led to Brother Chappell's death August 31st, 2022. Period. Folks, he was a retired Boy Scout master. You can do the math there, but that's what they tore into him with. And there are numerous affidavits filed in federal court regarding what the Albertville City Police Department started doing to Brother Chappell in order to get him killed, and they got him killed. It was to steal a multi-million-dollar 2-acre corner lot, a field of dirt, so to speak, and they killed a World War II, and that's something we do not do. Not without consequences, folks, from the U.S. Department of Justice. Brother Chappell entered World War II at age 17 on his birthday, and he said that he did not expect to return to the mainland. And I said, did you expect to die in war? And he said, well, it was a world war. We didn't expect for it to end in our lifetime. Wow. And he was war disabled. He nearly lost his left leg. He nearly left his left leg in the Pacific Ocean, where shrapnel nearly blew off his left leg. So, folks, I mean, these people have no conscience. Absolutely diabolical killers. Here's a Bible verse by Christ Jesus, Ephesians 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. The raving wolves, Marshall County officials, mafia, hatred and theft made in the USA. Folks, for those that are counting, I haven't named the 11th bonus unindicted co-conspirator. That's the current Alabama corrupt Attorney General, Stephen Troy Marshall. He's from Marshall County. He allowed all this to manifest. And Brother Chappell and my mother, Eugenia, and our blind friend, his name is Charles Keith Barksdale, and he goes by the nickname King Sonny because he was friends with Elvis Presley and Priscilla Presley in the 70s, but primarily he became friends with Elvis Presley's entourage of bodyguards, and they inducted him in a formal ceremony into the Elvis Aaron Presley Memphis bodyguard entourage. And that's why he goes by the nickname King Sonny, as a nod to the king of rock and roll. So in essence, I represent Leonard Skinner, and he represents Elvis Presley. And in fact, and in reality, not just figuratively, my brother's the lead guitarist for Leonard Skinner, and King Sonny is one of 3 living members of the original entourage of bodyguards for Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley's cousin, Billy Smith in Memphis, is still alive. And then Lee Majors, also known as the movie star of, Lee Majors, the movie star that's been in many TV shows and movies. But anyway, folks, all I can add is one more banner. And again, I ask you to contact the FBI before they kill again. My mother had a heart attack January the 22nd, 2025. They've almost killed my mother. Her heart was damaged by all this stress. She'll never be the same, and they have terrorized and tormented us for 8 years. You can go back, it's been 15 years if you go back to 2011 when the Supreme Court stopped the Marshall County Sheriff's Department from bringing, armed deputies to confiscate our property with an obvious illegal jury tampered verdict. So they're using firearms to rob people, and they're trying to say that they're following the law, yet they're just absolutely making mockery of the law. Here's the last banner I'll read. That's underneath the banner, YouTube Spiritual Grandpa Live 100. And it says, "America, for the love of all that is holy, correct the injustices of this deadly land theft scheme that unlawfully killed World War II Navy veteran Brother Chappell August 31st, 2022 by way of a stress-induced heart attack. And as he pled to the conniving land thieves for his very life, he pled to them for help, and they bludgeoned him to death." That's the judges, the sheriff, the mayor, the city attorney, the police chief, Bank President Chris Bailey, and Bank Vice President Margaret Lacey. All of this will soon be proven in court, and Marshall County Courthouse and Albertville City Hall will lose all institutional authority. And if you don't know what that means, the public pays not a criminal organization. And if the Albertville City Hall and or the Marshall County Courthouse orders any civilian to pay them in any way, any amount of money, the civilian will have a case that they can file in any federal district court, as in the Scottsboro Boys Federal Courthouse in Huntsville and or the Hugo L. Black Federal Courthouse in Birmingham. Just go to the deputy clerk in either one of those federal courthouses and ask for the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871 enforcement for your 14th Amendment rights. That's your equal protection rights under the Constitution of the United States. It is also known as Section 1983. They renamed that so that people were not saying the words Ku Klux Klan all the time. So they renamed it. It's the same thing, whether you call it a Section 1983 filing or a 1871 Ku Klux Klan Enforcement Act filing. It's the same thing, and it will not cost you a dime. If you do not have the $405 filing fee, just ask the deputy clerk for a paper whereby you're asking the court to pay your filing fee. If you are, financially distressed, if you find $405 too burdensome, just ask for the form to waive that fee, and you will get the ear to a federal judge. That's the power of the United States judicial system. And you can even handwrite out this form. It's about 5 pages. And you know how good the federal government really is. They, in essence, keep it real simple, kind of like Amazon or eBay or Walmart. In essence, they ask on the form, who are you? Who has violated your constitutional rights? What constitutional right did they violate? Well, it's the 14th Amendment, equal protection. And what are their names? And what are their positions with the government? And why do you feel that you don't owe them money? Well, they're a criminal organization, Your Honor. You get it? So you'll have a real good case against these people. It's criminal tyranny, and we ask that you contact the FBI, 1-800-225-5324.